Hey guys, welcome to another lesson. So in this video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the core tenets of mind maps, do some comparisons between good mind map and less so good ones, or not so good ones, to see where the issues really creep up so that you can avoid them. Now, in later lessons, we'll look at even more advanced, subtle nuances of mind maps so that you can, avoid them, but it doesn't really make much sense to talk about those, I think, for now, or until you start making a bunch of mind maps. All right, so we're going to avoid those nuanced details for now, but there are about 5 different things that I do want you to watch out for when you're creating your own that we'll look over in this video. So right here on screen you have a pretty good mind map, and we'll compare this one to a few other ones to see where exactly things go wrong. All right, okay, so what does it seem to be going wrong here pretty much for this first one? Move it a little bit over here to see it better. What seems to be going wrong? Well, if you look at it, it does seem pretty messy, and that's really the issue with it. So if you think of mind maps, they're really meant to resemble the knowledge structure of an expert, and it doesn't really do a good job of it because the knowledge of an expert is organized. This isn't organized. What it clearly indicates is that the person didn't really think about how things were related to each other. So it'd pretty much be like if you think of a house, right? If you don't understand how things are related to each other, you might find your socks in the kitchen, or a place where they shouldn't be. Same with these groups of information and connections. If you didn't really understand how things were fitted together, you're going to end up with something like this. So this shows that they didn't think about how things were related to each other in a way that allowed them to organize them optimally. And this is going to hinder how well you remember things and how well you understand it. So that's the first one. This is an issue you want to avoid. The second one is this one. Now, oftentimes in classrooms, you might not think that this is an issue, and sometimes it's not, but more so what's missing that is an issue in this one. So in this second example, you see that it's only going down, right? So it's like, okay, a group, then it's subgroups and further subgroups and further subgroups, which is fine, but it lacks any lateral thinking, lateral connections, which is key whenever you're trying to solve a problem or anything. It's not just about what are the subgroups, it's how are things connected to each other. So that's really the issue with the second one that we want to watch out for. Now, oh crap, let's go to this one. Now, what's the issue with this one? Right, so this is a bit of a similar issue to the first one, where there's lack of organization, but it's a bit different because it's not really about lack of understanding how things connect and how things that are related should be close together. It's more so just that they're not using their mind map as often, they're not using the blank space as optimally as they could, because having these things way too close together, kind of forces your attention in a way where it's like, oh, everything's all clogged up, not as neat, so I can't really distinguish and see the ideas as clearly. So the interesting thing about mind maps again is that they really resemble your thought process. So you want it to be as clear and clean as possible, and that's really the issue with this one. It's about how it's organized in space. So it's really just a bit of a more organization so that you can see the ideas more clearly and the connections. And I'll go with this one. Now this one doesn't seem to be much of an issue, but if you really look closer, the issue here is really uniformity. So what I mean by that is that if you look at our previous mind map, this other one here, you see that that size is one of the things that is categorizing the different groups and subgroups. So they're not all the same size, and there are different ways in which you can do this. Size isn't just one, but experts have their ideas organized from the most important ideas to the smallest ones, and you want that to be clear in your mind map. So size is one way to do this, the specific font that you use. So in this example, this is actually something important for mind maps that I didn't have here, but we also want to introduce labels, short labels of the sort, labels on our connections, as well as labels on the specific groups of information as well. So that's something I didn't really include, but that's also something we want to take into account. And here you see that it doesn't really seem to be organized from the most important ideas to the least important ones. It seems very uniform, and that doesn't really closely resemble what the knowledge of an expert is. So that's the issue with this one. Now, this last one, it's not really an issue, but it's actually the opposite. It's like, I wanted to make this thing better, so I decided to add some visuals. Now, these are just really colors, but typically it'd be like some drawing of something, I don't know. Maybe there, for some reason, a plant is something that closely resembles a group of information or a concept, so we draw a plant, right? So the idea with this fifth one isn't so much of what's bad, it's something that you should do that we didn't do with these other ones, which is add visual aids. So it's not just like a circle, the group and a label of information, but actually a visual to help aid it, right? And so the reason behind why this is useful is behind a theory called dual coding theory. And so it's really the idea that visuals aid your understanding and memory, right? So that's pretty much it for the mind maps, at least the core tenets. Later on, we'll see some even more advanced nuances, but that's pretty much for this lesson, all right?